Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. This is Garden Fairy. Today we are playing Fallout 4. Unfortunately, at the time of this video being recorded, there are some network maintenance issues. I'm not 100% sure what PlayStation is doing, but they are updating their systems, so I cannot show you the mods that I am using. However, I can tell you that I am using um, the Minutemen Sanctuary, and I'm using the cheat room, all of them. I don't remember 100% which ones I am using. However, I will tell you all of them that I can remember. Let's see. I'm also using Cages Overhauled and More, the Season Pass, Dr. Mobius's Infinite Stash, the Workshop Turret Pack, all map markers, fast travel, circle the wagons, red rocket, special route cellar loot, pre-war settlement items, sanctuary estates, Minutemen, like I had mentioned, bar from Cheers, Prost bar, the fully restored, not a nice guy, and I believe improved Minuteman artillery, as long as everything works out the way I need it to. Right now, what we are doing is we are going to clean up and set up defenses for the settlement. There is Codsworth, the one that we had at the very beginning. So what we are going to do to start is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some turrets in a couple of areas and try and get it to where there are, you know, where there is a decent amount of starter defense. And then what we're going to do is we're going to clean this up. We will be using cement walls. Those are a little harder for super mutants and behemoths and stuff like that to go ahead and get through. So let's get started. Hopefully I can get everything set up in a decent amount of time. I want to also get a few things done for my Etsy shop. If you are curious what Etsy is, if it's something that you have not heard of, you can go to www.etsy.com. No, they are not sponsoring me. I am not sponsored by anybody. If any of my videos do happen to become sponsored, I will say that at the beginning, and I will go through and ensure that they are in the descriptions written below. But Etsy is basically a handmade marketplace. You can also sell some vintage items. It's mostly handmade. There are a few kinks that need to be worked out, but that's with everything. But if you're curious, then you can go ahead and check it out. Alright, now we got some turrets settled. Excuse me. We're gonna scrap out as much of the area as possible. I tend to use mods that enhance the experience, not completely change it. I do like to see different mods in action. You know, I do like to try them out. I do not always use them, but it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy the work of other artists. Okay. The ones that I like the most, I will go ahead and make sure I have here. Okay. Now, after a while, once I'm able to beat this game with the Minutemen Sanctuary, I will choose a few others. And I will redo the game featuring other mods. If you are a mod creator and you would like to see your mod featured in one of my videos for my channel, feel free to drop it below, and when I have the chance, I will check it out. And once I beat the game, or I even start another game, I will go through and I will add your mod and give you a shout out. Okay, it looks like we have a pretty good amount cleaned up. Unfortunately, I cannot get those. And there are a few other things that I wish I could get that I can't get. There is a mod, if you are interested, that will allow you to scrap anything and everything. I don't use it because even though it gives a really, really good and clean look to the game, I more often than not will end up losing things that I would prefer to keep. So unfortunately, I do not use them for that reason. However, it is a pretty good mod. I believe the name of it is called Scrap Everything. So if you're interested, go ahead and check it out. You should be able to find it in the mods list. Alright. All you have to do is make sure that you have an internet connection and go through, set it up, and you should be alright. Okay, now I'm going to start this in a little bit, and the reason for that is because I want to be able to ensure that there is a door, of course, but I want to ensure that there's an outside perimeter that will work towards ensuring that there is extra security for my settlers. Come on. You are going to have to fiddle around with it a little bit, but they do work. Sometimes they will be extremely stubborn. Like right here. Well, that might actually work. Because it is technically through a window. Once you actually end up getting it to where you are able To lock it in, I suggest you lock it in as quickly as possible, because if you don't, you're going to end up having a lot of issues. And you can see as I'm going through and trying to set up the second layer. Now, as you see, when I set it up like that, that still goes through. And once it goes out over here, you're not really able to do it. So make sure that you set it the way you really want it to be. Okay. Now, you see I've got that over. And I'm using the Windows thing to try and get it to where there's a little bit more of a workaround, so to speak. And I'm using a mixture of all these different things. To try and make sure that it's decent. Now, you're going to have a hard time getting it perfect, so don't worry about whether or not everything is exactly the way you need it to be. As long as you go through and you're able to get everything set up, and have it look at least partially decent, you will be just fine. And once again, I'm going through That's a trader, by the way, I think. Could be one of the settlers. That's a trader. Okay, so we are going to add another door right over here. Like right here. And see, there are a bit of floating things here. That bush makes it a little hard to be able to see it. And see, we've got a floating door. We don't want that. Floating door is not a good thing. So, let's see. We'll take this. Let's see. We're going to store that. We're going to bring this over. And that's where we're going to put that second door. Now we're going to come over here. Check that. You see how that is? You see how that up there is at? We're going to store those. That ended up scrapping. That's okay. We're going to come over here. And that repairs that. We're going to get that up as close as we can. Bit more. Now there are build limits, and there is also a way to add more to your build limits. That is a mod as well, and it's actually one that I quite like, but I've had a few issues with. So I decided not to use it this time around. But if we can get it to work, or I can get my own system instead of using my husband's, then I plan on going ahead and using it myself on a different one. My husband, he does tend to use it. I don't know if he intends on downloading it again at this point. So I'm just gonna have to wait and see. And once I know, all of you will know as well. Because it will be added. Okay, now we're going to come up over here. And we're going to fiddle around until we get it where we need it to be. Okay. Now we are down below. I'm going to go ahead and add that there. And yes, I realize that this isn't lining up I'm not doing this in a straight line, and that's perfectly fine. All I'm looking for at this point is good security, and that means using the concrete as best as I can. And yeah, there are going to be imperfections, but imperfections are a part of what makes things so grand. Now, we're going to store these because we're going to turn them. But you see how it doesn't quite line up there? I'm going to go back over and I'm going to use this post thing right here. And it won't let me because those are as close as they can be. Oh, there we go. Just use them on the outside. That is perfectly fine. Okay. Now we're going to come over here. And remember, I'm not intentionally lining all this up. And you see how that right there is out of the border? That's alright, but that's not what I want. So I'm going to take those and I'm going to replace them with these little bitties here. Okay, now I'm going to take these. I'm going to line it up just like this. And then this. Okay, that's not wanting to work, which is alright. So that's not wanting to work too well, so I'll take that. I'll store that and that. Go back over here. Raise it up a bit. Okay. Store that. And we'll store that. Go back in here. Hmm. All right. So there are always workarounds if you're willing to look for them. They're not always a bad thing. Just make sure that you're ready. Right, let me see. Now all we have to do is we gotta go in here. And unfortunately we need to kind of continue this all the way through, if we can. I would have preferred to have it a tad bit further, but that's alright. Whoops. Alright, there we go. Now, we've got security all the way through. This building is secured over there on that. Okay. We have a few turrets on the outside of the perimeter, just like what was intended. And we have a few that are right on the inside. Not a bad thing. So now what we have to do is we have to go over here. And we got to get things situated for this part. Now, as you noticed, I'm kind of doing this in sections a bit. And that's not a bad thing. Just, when you are doing this, you're probably going to end up fighting with it just a tiny bit, because this building right here, there is a cement foundation. And because of that foundation, it makes it a tad bit harder to get it to do what you want to do, unless you put it down underneath like this. And then kind of build onto it a bit more. So just be aware. That's why I love how these stack, because it makes it to where we're able to go through and make them as high as we need to. I mean, I'm pretty sure if we really wanted to, we could build it, I don't know, maybe 3-4 stories high. Okay. Now, let's see. I don't want to put it through that rubble. So, there we go. Over here, right up on here. As soon as I can get it. Hey, Sammy. Come on, honey. Come on. Come on. Good girl. Alright, hang on. Pardon me a minute while I get my husband and I's dog settled. There we go. No. Lay down. Good girl. Alright. And if we do happen to get cut off, don't worry. I will go through and I will pick up right where we leave off at. I forgot to set my timer, so... Alright, there we go. Now we're going to go through just a little bit more. I believe we are almost where we need to be. Alright, that's their pack cow. Their Brahmin. Alright. And for those of you who do not know, I do refer to our cats and our dog as our fur babies. If you do not understand, feel free to ask. If you're an animal lover, I'm sure you'll understand already. Okay. Now I'm going over here. I love the way they did the move. make sure this can work right. Okay. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to get out of this and we're going to walk the perimeter. We're going to take a look at what we just did. And we're going to go over here and we're going to talk to the trader.
Hey, Lucas.
My armor saved many a waste wounded.
Sure. Let's take a look.
Don't cheap out on armor. That's a good way to get yourself killed.
Solid advice. Okay, now we're going to look for anything that he has that has a star next to it. That means that it is legendary. And it doesn't look like he has anything at this point. I don't like the pipe weapons, so if I have any, I will be selling it to him. And just like I suspected, there are no stars on any of these, so that means he does not have any legendary. So we're going to come over here. I don't use grenades, so I'm going to sell him the grenades. And I'm going to accept the trade. And I do have a pipe sniper rifle. Okay, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go into his junk. And I'm going to buy, let's see, there's a shipment of ballistic fiber, cloth, fiberglass, leather, and steel. So, I'm going to buy the shipment of fiberglass. I'm going to confirm that. I'm going to come back over here. Fragmentation mine. I don't use that either. So that's going to be sold. Don't use Molotov cocktails. Muzzled, hardened, piercing 10mm. No. I will sell him the pipe pistols, pipe bolt action pistol, regular pipe pistols of 13, short automatic pipe rifle, short double barrel shotgun. I will sell 3 of those. That is a short pipe bolt action rifle. That'll be sold. 7 short pipe rifles. Those are sold. I'll sell 1 of the submachine guns and switchblade. I'm gonna keep that. I modified that one. I want to keep the custom. That is my favorite. And we're gonna check my apparel. Assault gas mask. We're gonna sell those. We're gonna want that. Cushion studded on leather left leg. Now, this cheat ring carry weight 100. That is something that you pick up in the cheat room. Comes in handy. Very, very, very wonderful. I love this, especially because I have not been able to play the full game. So, I'm very happy with that. I'm gonna sell 9 of the harnesses. Leaded shadow combat armor left leg. Let's see, leather chest pieces. We'll sell those. I don't really like raiders. Let's see. We're gonna sell some of the jet. We'll sell them $300, well, 300 caps, technically, which is 12. So 300 caps worth is 12 jet. We're going to go ahead and we're going to accept this, and we'll leave him with that. Okay. Now, come back through over here. Now what we're looking for is any gap at all that we would not have been able to see while we were in the workshop. And then we're going to come back through and we're going to add doors. After we add the doors, we're going to add a couple of traps if it'll let us. And we're going to add a turret on each side of the doors. This will increase the security. We're also looking for gaps down here. Because if we find any, then we have to redo it. Or we have to set up some kind of a defense system there. Okay. So far, so good. Now this pre-war building right here works out wonderfully. And we might be able to attach a ceiling or two over this way to kind of enclose this a bit so that there's more sleeping areas. So there's a slight gap right here, but that's because it kept wanting to attach the wrong way. And it's not enough for anything to get through. So we're pretty good there. Same thing here, slight gap. Not enough for anything to worry about. And there's a turret right there. So what we could do is we could set up another one right here, and it would be just fine. Managed to get that down fairly well. That's stacked 3 high. Got this. Now I'm thinking that it's going to be a good idea to add a couple more turrets here, just because I think that some ghouls might be able to come through here, maybe even some hounds or something like that. So I'm going to be adding some more turrets. Now see right here we have a gap, and I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to fix this. Alright, now it's not going to be anything severe. Just going to come over here. I'm going to add those. Get out over here. Add a few more turrets. And a couple of doors. And it looks like we're good. Okay, so we're going to go back into workshop mode. Go over here. I don't believe there are... Nope. There's no doors there in that particularly. So we're going to go through right here. Powered doors. Come on, Sammy. Alright, now I'm going to add this door in both areas. Alright, now that we've got the doors, we're going to come up over here. Yes, there are fences. Junk fence and wire fence. The junk fence works okay, and it's what I normally used before we got all this stuff. But that's not really what I... Yeah, don't need those. It's not really what I was wanting this time around. Come on, Sammy, lay down. We're going to get out of structures now, and we're going to go back in for defense. See what we can do as far as traps go. Shoots electricity when powered up. That's not a bad thing. There's a trap door, a radiation emitter, a flamethrower trap, powered spring trap. There's 2 different types. A saw blade trap, which I think is pretty cool. I think this is what I'll use for the other side. I normally use them when there's just an archway or an opening. We've got a spike trap. pressure plate with embedded spikes. We got a stationary gun, stationary paintball gun, which in technicality is paintball marker. So I think what we're going to end up doing is, let's see, trapdoor opens when something steps on it, of course. I think we're going to do the spike trap right here. And we're gonna go over here. And let's see. I think we'll do the trap door here. But I don't think I can put it down any further, so we'll just do it like that. Alright, now, I don't know why I did that. As you can tell, but yeah, you can tell, but as you see, I still have some turrets that I need to unlock, and that's because I don't have the gun nut or science or something like that. This one I need the nuclear physicist, which means I had to bring out my science. So, at least if I'm not mistaken. So at this point, we're going to go back over here to the beginning. Because I don't want to use those bubble turrets. I have specifics that I prefer. Every spot that looks like there are vulnerabilities, there's going to be a turret. Now we are wanting our settlements to be secured, especially when we get to where we have the Abernathy farm. The Abernathy farm tends to be very annoying. Both my husband and I have an issue with the Abernathy farm in the sense of everything is always going wrong. They are always getting attacked. And it seems no matter what we end up doing, they're always getting hit with something. So it doesn't matter what we end up doing, we could set, we could befriend a behemoth and put it there. Or my husband, he likes to use the death claws. Alright, he'll capture them and get it set to where they are, you know, in the town, and they're walking around where they are, just protecting the town. And, he'll end up, not even 5 minutes after being there and setting everything up, he'll end up having to go back to Abernathy Farm. So, yeah. Be very careful with Abernathy Farm. Alright, now we are going to go into the wood. We're going to come over this way. And we're going to try and build this up to where we're able to add some more beds and stuff, and just in general make this place feel a bit more homely. And if we have an issue with getting this to work the way we need to, then I'll just use cement. Scaffolding. Let's see. Not quite sure how this is going to turn out. I've never done it like this before.